So, hey Pisces, my name is Chris, and this is your beautiful reading for whenever you freaking find it in 2026, most likely, because that's the big transformative year. And don't be afraid, don't overthink, take good care of your subconsciousness, right? So, the Eight of Swords and the Moon card, and we have to be careful that we don't get into overthinking mode, guilt, fear, shame, being afraid of this and that, overthinking politics, external circumstances. We don't need that. Take good care because you're co-creating your world to your subconsciousness. So keep good care of it. Balance is needed. The Wheel of Fortune is here. Let's just see what else we got. Two of Cups and the Magician. Okay. Knight of Cups with the Five of Cups and two more. That's the Ace of Swords with the Four of Swords. Bottom of the deck, the Seven of Pentacles. So you get something going. You're already working on something. That's the Seven of Pentacles. And take good freaking care of that. And there's a combination here with the Seven of Pentacles where you planted your seeds and where you got all these wonderful talents. And you kind of, the Four of Pentacles is this energy where you're kind of holding on to the devil, That's if you want to give it a little darker spin. But this is not bad. This is totally fine. It's the only card in the minor arcana, except for the Kings and Queens, of course, with a crown on top. So this is a little prince. That's not the King of Pentacles, but it's kind of the Prince of Pentacles. So you already achieved something. And you already planted your seeds, Seven of Pentacles. And this combination 4 and 7 is a big thing because it's the freaking chakra system. So you got the root chakra, so you got the sacral chakra. What is missing is solar plexus. You got the heart chakra. What is missing is the throat, the third eye, and you got the crown chakra. So you got 4 chakras of the 7 chakras. So you need to complete yourself. The journey is continuing. And you got new ideas. So this whole thing is about you starting a new circle, starting a new chapter, completing yourself. So you get something to be proud of. You kind of achieved mastership in it, but it's just not complete, right? So you need to, life goes on. You need to learn a few new things. There's the Ace of Swords, so you got a great idea. And by all means, that idea is something you should explore. There's willpower with the Magician. There's the Two of Cups. First of all, so you got something going and you want to expand yourself. You want to learn something new. You got this beautiful idea and you planted your seeds, meaning that you already made the initial stages for some new chapter in your life from which you will learn something new and complete yourself. And you're determined, you do what you want and you got this going, right? Magician is a very forceful, willful energy where you keep going in that direction. And with all that forcefulness, there's a lot of joy and happiness, right? You being in your emotional happiness zone, whatever that means, right? So you're doing what you love to do. So it looks fantastic. You're doing it. You're going. You got this new idea. You planted your seeds. Then there's the backstory, basically, where you had something probably going, There's a reason why you held on so tightly to your Four of Pentacles. And now in 2026, that new journey, that new cycle, totally in your alignment, in your willpower, in your joy, a new chapter to complete yourself. But before that, you held on very, very tightly to something that you've got, and you kept your distance, and you weren't ready to start a new developmental cycle. Maybe in the last 9 years, maybe you've been through narcissistic abuse because a few of your cups, you already had 5 cups. And 5 cups, you were pretty zen and happy with something, right? But the universe kicked over a few cups. So maybe that's why you held on so tightly to what was remaining. And now, after maybe 9 years, after maybe 2008, you're ready to, broaden your horizon a little, get into that new chapter, leave that behind, because that 5 of Swords, 5 of Cups energy, where you lost something, this is kind of the source of overthinking, I would say, right? And the secret is to make peace with it, even if you think that was pretty shady, even if you're talking about narcissistic abuse, even if you talk about toxic narcissistic people. To be fair, one of these cups was poisoned anyway, right? So there was something toxic in what you built, probably since 2008, probably in the last 9 years. There was something toxic in it. But there was also most likely, especially in the last 9 years, narcissistic abuse, something like that. Something that brought you into this blocked state where you were kind of trying to protect what you had left and were not ready to, spread your wings a little and explore the world and begin a new chapter to complete yourself. So this phase where you held on to something is over, and the most important key to it all is to make peace with the past, make peace with what happened. Because only then you can move on from it, truly moving on from it. You don't have to forgive. I don't like that forgiveness concept because it is always tied to the past. It is always tied to the concept of guilt. And forgiveness, there are very few narcissistic people who abuse other people and then you forgive them and then they change, but that's rarely happening. So instead of forgiveness, forgive yourself for falling for these people, for believing their lies, for being entangled into their mindfuck energy, right? But even that is, I don't know, I like the concept of responsibility and karma much more. They will get their karma. You have to take responsibility for your life. And there is a time when we mourn, when we're just freaking angry, when we're sad, when we're kind of blocked in our thoughts and figuring stuff out. And can it really be that way? Is the world like that? Can that be? And we're figuring it out and we're circling around in our head. Yes, that is part of the healing process because that is part of processing the whole thing, whatever happened, right? But eventually you have to make peace with the world as it is, radically accepting the world for what it is, radically accepting that there are narcissistic, toxic, antagonistic people out there in the world. So the most important thing to start this new chapter is to radically accept the world for what it is. Radically accept people for who they are, and if they are not cheering you on, if they're not supporting you, if they're on the other hand sabotaging your life in whatever way, even if it's just constantly bringing you down in guilt, fear, shame, lower frequencies, something like that, you're worthy of a new chapter, you're worthy of love, and you're worthy of doing what you love and blossoming and not being stagnant, but to explore new possibilities, new ideas, really go for what you want, and not just what you want, but what makes you happy, what brings you joy and happiness, right? That's what I see you doing here. And in moving on from that chapter, the key is really to make peace with it and take responsibility for yourself and your own happiness. The Wheel of Fortune, the Moon card, and the Two of Pentacles, restoring balance. And the most important lesson in here is that you're always manifesting from your subconsciousness. So your emotional state, your state of your consciousness, in what frequency are you vibing? Are you vibing in guilt, fear, shame, frustration, anger, hatred, something like that? These are very dense, lower frequencies. And that is the mindfuck of the narcissistic abuse. That, you know, when people get traumatized, when people get abused by narcissistic, toxic, antagonistic people, there is the downfall of some cups, right? So some damage is made in your life. But what is even harder is that mindfuck, right? That where you kind of lose trust in people, where you kind of lose trust in the world, maybe trust in your own abilities. That is the deeper mindfuck that concerns your subconsciousness, your entire consciousness, as not just your subconsciousness, but your entire consciousness. And to heal that, you have to first accept that there are people like that who thrive on putting other people down. They just can't uplift themselves, so they have to put others down, which is very pitiful. But there are a lot of people who do that and behave like that. So first of all, you accept that, and then you understand that the most important healing aspect is actually to heal your subconsciousness, right? That's the moon card. And that is basically the overall state in which you are vibing, in which your consciousness is, how do you say this? You know, in which your subconsciousness is the frequency of your subconsciousness, okay? So you don't want to be in guilt, fear, shame. You also don't want to be in anger and frustration or even in hatred, but that's the worst, right? You want to be in optimism, right? You want to plant new seeds. You want to take care of these seeds. You want to express your new ideas. You want to bring them into the world. And by all means, you want to have some fun in the process. Because, you know, holding on that old version of yourself, holding on that which was left or remaining after that was happening, right? There are 3 cups down, 2 cups still standing, right? And with the 4 of Pentacles, you're basically holding on to these last 2 remaining cups, even if it's 4 Pentacles here, but you're holding on to it, but so tightly that you kind of rob yourself of the possibilities of all that goodness, right? New chapter of life, new experiences, and by all means have some fun with it. And the key to it all is, I say this again, the most important aspect of healing is not that forgiveness part, right? It's responsibility, taking up responsibility for your own life. Leave it to karma. These narcissists are getting their karma, that's for sure. But it's not your responsibility to deliver that to them. It is your responsibility to take charge of your life and to make sure it's beautiful and you love it and enjoy it on a daily basis. And it all starts, Sacred Earth is here in the center, with your subconsciousness. And the best way to cultivate your subconsciousness, to bring it in higher frequencies, is breath work and meditation. 5 seconds in, 10 seconds out, maybe 10 seconds in, 20 seconds out. Whatever you can do, try it out. Find your sweet spot, but make sure that the out breath is 2 times that of the in breath. Do it for 5 minutes, combine that with meditation, and you are working on balancing out your subconsciousness, bringing it in a resilient state or frequency. And then, you know, you're no longer in anger, fear, guilt, shame, pain, frustration. Maybe where you have been quite a while, probably the last 9 years, could that be? You're moving on, and it's a new chapter, it's a brand new day, and you totally deserve this. Connect to nature, go out into nature, work with your body, right? Get something, whether you go for a walk, whether you go swimming, whether you're riding your bike, but get some connection your subconsciousness and the connection to nature, that's super important. King of Pentacles, you're going to do something fantastic in your 6 or your 7 of Pentacles, the little seedlings that you've planted for your new chapter in life that is pretty much starting in 2026. And let's not forget, Pluto in Aquarius is going to last for pretty much the next 19 years from now on. So that's a long period of time. And these little seedlings that you're planting here, they're going to flourish and they're going to blossom. Just keep nurturing them, show up for your life, take responsibility for your life whenever you're in that funk, resentment, pain, anger, frustration. Do breath work. Literally do breath work. 1 in, 2 out. Releasing negativity. That's how you take care of your subconsciousness. And going out into nature in whatever way is also super important and part of the healing process. There's the Two of Swords with the Moon card. That makes a lot of sense. The Star card. Beautiful. Let's just do one more as a clarifier. I think you're getting there. Maybe you are still in the process where you making peace with what was, right? So you're not 100% here in that creation mode where you're totally excited to start that new chapter of your life. Maybe every now and then you're still thinking about the past, getting angry, blocking yourself, That is a process. Meditation, breathwork, connecting to nature, and by all means, attend. You already planted your seedlings. Take good freaking care of them. And I'm doing 3 quotes here. I'm not sure that's helpful. No, it's not helpful. Every coin has actually 3 sides, but that's not the most important thing here. That makes a lot of sense here. No dark imaginings, right? So when you're in this negative downward spiral in your consciousness, where you think, oh, it's all so bad, and there's so many narcissists, and they're all a-holes, and no dark imaginings. Wherever the bird with no feet flew, she found trees with no limbs, Audre Lorde. That's a hopeful one. You truly deserve your own love. By all means, do love yourself. Be yourself a friend. How do you practice being yourself a friend? If you're down into guilt, fear, shame, anger, frustration, hatred, and so on, you deliberately make the decision to get out of that frequency. Meditation, breathwork, going out into nature, or attending. But if you're in a rut, right? So you're not bringing that rut, anger, energy to your projects. You first clear it through meditation, breathwork, connect to nature. And then when you did that and release negativity, charge yourself with positivity, then you attend your little garden here. Those who choose the lesser evil forget very quickly that they chose evil. This is not the channel for these people. This is the channel for people who choose the light. And you're constantly choosing. It's a daily practice to choose the light, not to go into anger, frustration, not to worry too much about all the psychopaths, narcissists, assholes in this world. But, take care and responsibility that you do not become like them. And the best way to do that is release negativity. Breathwork meditation, I say this 100 million times because it is really so important. If you actually do it every day, even if it's just 5 minutes, it will completely transform your consciousness. And with that consciousness, with that frequency, just by, changing the overall frequency, what you think about, what you imagine, what you feel, just by that, something good will come out of that. That is really, really important. And you can be the alchemist of your own consciousness. And by all means, create that's the Star and the King of Pentacles. You're creating something. And don't allow all these negative experiences to prevent you from enjoying that creation. That's all I got. Share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about. I'm going to link the end of the year 2026 reading, basically for fall and winter at the end of this one. Check out your sun, moon, and rising sign, and hopefully see you next time. Now, bye, my friend. Ciao.